Hello and good evening for this Wednesday, March the 26th, 2025. We have just finished watching the fifth episode of Survivor 48 titled A Masterclass in Deception. But we're just getting started here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, live stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or you might be listening to us on audio version. I'm Dave Mader, and I'm joined with a great panel here once again to break down another episode of Survivor. In the top right-hand corner of the screen, we got the man himself, Jason R. Phillips.
Hello, everybody. I didn't want to make things political, but I made things political tonight.
Oh, you did it!
Elbows up, elbows up, buddy.
Elbows up. Here we go. Yes, well, I'm with you on that. Yes, we are broadcasting here live from Canada. We are not for sale, and we are not. Will never be a state. Also with us, in the bottom center, it's Foster. He's back. He's not sick anymore.
No, I am back and ready to talk some Survivor, Dave and Jason. You know what? This season has been. There's been. You know what? It's been good. It's been really. I'm really excited to talk tonight about it. You know, I've been really impressed with just not only the people, but and there's a lot of personal connections tonight. But it's been really good. It's really fun so far.
Yeah, another exciting episode here tonight. A little bit of an unexpected result in some ways. We're going to get into that. Jameel Robinson and Becky Robinson unable to make it tonight. They just had to message that I guess Jameel had a meeting that went late, and so that derailed them. And Jeff Mader is continuing his moonlighting deal at the curling club. And, he won't be available, I guess, for another couple more weeks.
Burning the candle at both ends, as he said last week.
Yes, that's what he likes to do. You know, he's got to earn that money so he can take my niece to Disney World and all that. You know, so. But anyway, spoilers, everybody, on this episode of Survivor 48. I am sad to say a member of Team Dave has gone bye-bye here in Bianca. Although I still got Kyle, as she is the fifth voted out here tonight by Chrissy and Cedric are the two to vote her out here. She didn't have a vote as part of this new merged Siva Orange tribe, but this felt like her episode. It felt like she was like. Even though she didn't have a vote, I felt pretty good about this until she ultimately does get voted out here. It was looking like it was going to come down between Say and Chrissy, where we had two former Siva members. Well, I guess they're still Siva members in Mitch and Chrissy against the two former Vula, tribe members in Say and Cedric, with Bianca in the middle. However, Bianca not having a vote, she decides to tell Cedric right before Tribal, hey, I don't have a vote. And so Cedric must have somehow gotten this information to Chrissy, but not to Mitch. And they voted her out here. So I'm still trying to process the end of the Tribal, guys. I know, I'm skipping right ahead to the end. There's a lot of other part of the episode we'll talk about, but I'm mostly just trying to process this result. And is that what your read on it is, Jason?
Listen, let me tell you. In our fantasy game, I've talked about it. I'm not going to get too far into it, but I have 6 players that I have to deal with, and I dodged another very close bullet tonight. And it seems like a theme for the fantasy game that I'm playing, where I've always been on the chopping block. And tonight I was like, if Bianca reveals that she doesn't have a vote, I'm screwed. Say's going home, because they'll find some way to get her out. But the second she told Cedric, I was like, don't do that. You put a target on your back, because then you're just an easy vote. Then you just have to, they have an alliance already. Cedric is the worst. He can't
right.
Secret. I think this is going to be a theme with Cedric. I think he's going to go far in the game because he's going to double cross everybody. I think he's just going to be that. They call him a puppy dog, and I kind of see it. He just kind of goes with the flow to a fault.
To a fault. Yeah, well, Justin didn't even trust him to tell him that he didn't have a vote, And so, but Bianca tries something else here. Foster, how do you feel about this result here? What happened?
I still, I've said this since the first episode, how the hell is Say not voted out? I don't
Right.
like. It's baffling to me. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's like she's playing a fun game in terms of from the viewer perspective, but
Hmm.
it's just you've seen time and time again that it's like it's at the point now where it's like you're keeping her around so that she won't get a vote at the end. You know what I mean? Like it's that type of player at this point. Like you're just, you know what I mean? Like she's no threat to anyone at the end. But like,
Maybe.
she's it's just everything. She's like, I was shocked that Chrissy didn't vote for Say because it seemed like she wanted her gone. And for it to be revealed that she was the second, like I was baffled. Like I couldn't believe that was the result.
I like how Chrissy was giving her crap the whole episode, and then at the end, she's like, "That means she doesn't have she didn't have her vote. Did you catch that?" And then Say just puts her hands in her head in her hands again, and I'm like, those two are gonna have a blow up. Also, just before we continue, I could have sworn in the preview for last week, Say had a machete in her hand, and they painted it like she was going to be brandishing this machete, but I don't believe that ever came up unless they just showed her with it and they doctored it to make us watch the next episode.
Yeah, because there was that. You're right. In the last preview, it was like, "Watch out for Say. She's on the warpath, and she's going around." And I think that was probably part of the storyline with Chrissy and her fighting about the fruit, how much fruit was being consumed by Say coming off the challenge. Say, like the conflict with her and Chrissy, I think is fun. I think to your point, Foster, is Say somebody that isn't a threat to win at the end? Is that how it should be perceived? I think that's maybe a fair assessment because she gets on my nerves and I'm just a viewer, and if I was living with her for 10 days, maybe I'd go, oh, well, what's the point? Is she somebody I want to sit next to at the final three? Maybe, versus somebody like Bianca, who is way more likable. Yes, now what was making Bianca seem a little safer here was that that we just lost Thomas in the previous episode, and so that maybe it was more common knowledge that Bianca and Thomas were tight. Thomas being voted out means Bianca's position is weakened in the merge, therefore she's not as high of a priority right now. But then she makes this fatal flaw because she was like, I'm not going to tell anybody about not having my vote. Basically force this tie that she won't be eligible for in the revote. And I think ultimately what would have happened if Bianca had saw that plan through is that Cedric probably would have flipped on Say and they would have voted out Say. It's probably what would have happened. But so Bianca, did she either, whoever wants to take on this one, did she sink her own game?
I think, like you said, Jason, like she had it up until like it was almost like Andy like last season. Remember, he had it in a sense. Like he was, he kind of was. People were believing his side. People were kind of not seeing him a certain way. And then with Bianca, the opposite of Justin. It's it's funny because when you were talking earlier about Cedric, how he's just going to betray everyone, right? I kind of thought of him as like a poor man's Andy. He's not intentionally trying to do it, but it's benefiting him. Like he's not like he's scheming masterfully. But no, it's there's several players like I don't see like there's just a lot of dysfunction in their game, right? You don't see them going very far, unless it's a band of misfits in a sense, right? But Cedric, like you said, Jason, is just he's flopping every week. Like there's no and Say somehow like and there will be the merge. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there, right? So
that is coming.
And Say, the problem with Say is I don't think she's like a mastermind either. To that same point, Foster, like she can't get out of her own way, but for some reason, people are thinking that we'll just because Cedric says I'll shake that tree later or whatever. He's like I'll deal with Say later, but I think when people do that to a loose cannon, they end up making it far, and then they might even win this whole game. It's kind of unlikely. She is a little bit loose in her cannonry, but I think that she's going to go far because people are going to keep underestimating her, but she's going to keep being that wild card, and it influences people around her. So it's an interesting way to play, but I don't think she's doing it on purpose. She just can't help but be like, I need a break. And it's like, you just sat out of the game. Why do you need a break? I played every game.
I'm entitled to a break. I think, you know, her point was like Chrissy's used to being the boss, I guess, as a firefighter lieutenant, somebody who, you know, is used to giving orders, and Say is not one to like taking orders. I can't remember what Say's profession was, but
I can't remember either.
let me see if I can figure that out.
Like social media manager or something.
Marketing professional.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe
Equivalent.
Yeah, something along those lines. But yeah, like I think that Say's not going to get less irritating to her tribe mates as this goes on. It's only going to get worse as she gets hungrier, and they're going to get.
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah, they're just going to be bickering about things. So you know
in real life, her hanger is a thing.
Oh yeah. She just wanted a donut, everybody, you know, and that's just how it crumbles sometimes, to use the pun. You know, and then you got a player like Cedric here, who I think is like not an exciting player to watch.
No,
for sure, but interesting how he plays this. Now, presumably he pulled in Chrissy right before this and said, "Hey, Bianca doesn't have a vote. Let's get out Bianca." My only question about that is, like, did they not have time to pull in Mitch on this? Is because Mitch does vote for Say. Well, you know, here. So is that, were they doing that just in case Bianca's lying, or just in case there's an idol played or something?
My theory is they didn't show part of the afternoon where Cedric went and just told everybody, and then they just all agreed to just get Bianca out for being a liar, basically. That's how I read it. Sometimes it happens rarely.
I don't think he would have told Say, though, just based on the reaction.
Because Say didn't know, and I don't think Mitch knew.
Yeah,
that's interesting that Mitch didn't know, because it seems to me that you would want Mitch if you're Cedric over Chrissy. Like, you would assume. I don't know. Like, that's because you would want Chrissy to vote for Say and keep that kind of, you know, button heads.
Right, because now, from Mitch's point of view, he's like, "Hey, I voted for Say."
Yeah, what's Cedric angle? Once again, like, and you're right, Jason. They definitely didn't show something, whether it was in the afternoon or before tribal. And they've done this before, where they will say in the next episode, "Oh, like this," like they'll show a scene, right, and that is very, you know, important to the outcome of tribal, and they obviously don't want to reveal it because that'll ruin the surprise, like it was tonight. But again, like, you could tell that Say was blindsided, in the sense, again, that she was not in the majority vote like she continuously thinks. And she
got to vote against her, too.
You know, again, right? So, but I don't think that, I feel like Mitch was sort of in on it. I don't know, because he didn't seem like he was super shocked, I guess.
Well, he comes around on it. You know, he's like, well, my ally is not gone in Chrissy, so I think he's kind of happy about that. But, you know, if I were him, I wouldn't be happy about having cast a vote against Say, knowing that Say was not the ultimate target here. But it's a last-minute audible. I think that Bianca does come to Cedric very late before they're about to go to tribal. It seems to be pretty dark in that scene. You know, and they're kind of just waiting for that sundown time, right? Because they like to film them walking down the beach or whatever. But, so, you know,
you only had time to tell Chrissy then. Maybe that, I don't know. Like,
that seems to be the case, right? But if you just watch here Bianca's exit, and as well as her, like, who's voting for what, you know, you can.
Yeah, I went and took a shower, like I was rushing, so I didn't see this last little bit, so I'm curious about this.
All right, so but only 20 seconds here. Let's play the clip.
I'm realizing what a dumb decision I made. I just screwed up. I trusted the wrong people and I made the wrong choice. I've been watching this show since I was 8, so to come out here and play this game that I love so much, this was an adventure of a lifetime. I am proud of myself for all of the fight I put up, but I'm devastated. I just wanted to play so much longer.
So Chrissy voted for Bianca, even though her and Say have been at each other's throats all day and
correct
the whole time. That's what I'm saying. Cedric must have said something to her.
Well, I just want to know what was so convincing here, right? Yeah. You know, like that. I guess from Chrissy's point of view, she's better off flipping her vote with Cedric, voting out Bianca here instead of a situation where they're creating this tie. And I think if you're Chrissy, you're saying, okay, so Bianca's lying to me, therefore she was like, maybe she was leaning towards getting that say over me, but I'm still expendable to an extent, right? So why not just vote out Bianca here and prevent that situation where we have to have this revote between Chrissy and Say, and maybe I survive that, maybe I don't. If you're Chrissy, just okay, we're flipping it. No time to tell Mitch, but or Say.
Also Bianca was doing that thing. This never works, where she was just playing everybody against each other to try to get a 2-2 vote situation,
right?
And then that would have come down to she wanted either Chrissy or Say to be the only people they could vote for.
Right.
Which I think would have forced the thing that happened a couple episodes ago where
with Justin and Say
gets the sole vote. So I don't know. I'm glad things worked out this way for my fantasy game, but it was a very confusing last 20 minutes of the episode.
It was. I think, and I think Foster's right. We'll get a clip in the beginning of the next episode where this is kind of explained a little bit more.
Yeah.
It gave us an exciting ending to this episode. I am sad to see Bianca go here. I thought she was a fun player and personality on the season, but that's the way it's got to go, and I think Bianca was a threat to win at the end too, because so I feel like, maybe that was the other part of this was like, let's just get her out. She's like, everyone likes her. If you're also coming from Chrissy's point of view specifically, and maybe also from Cedric's, is that, now Thomas got voted out last episode, and now with Bianca getting voted out, the old Loggy tribe, the old Purple tribe, is now down to only 4, with Eva, Joe, Shaheen, and Star, whereas the original Siva tribe, the Orange tribe, has got all 6 of those people still in the game. And they know that the merge is probably next, or one more vote after that. And so if you're Chrissy saying, oh, well, great, I'm going to keep all my Siva strong here, and I'm going to win the favor of these old Vula Green tribe members, Cedric, Say, and maybe even Mary. And then we'll just pick off all the Loggy people once we get to the merge. We'll get out Eva, we'll get out Joe. And we'll get into all that happens in this episode, where the whole moment between Eva and Joe, but they very much put their connection on Front Street, if you will, in this episode. So I wonder how much that was playing into the decision making. Let's weaken that tribe.
I don't. I feel like this tribe didn't really bond, and that's why it seemed so weird as part of it. Maybe Chrissy just went rogue, and she just made the right choice by accident.
Yeah, with her own self-preservation sort of in mind, sorry, Mitch, but, he'll probably get it when it comes
Sometimes
to
people just vote who they want to vote for, and it messes up the game. I've seen it happen a million times where, I'm voting, I don't care who you vote for, I'm voting for this person. It's like, you gotta vote with the majority,
Right.
Well, sometimes. Vote
absolutely.
for who you want.
Yeah, well, I think that ideally, or not so ideal. So Say and Mitch here, they both cast votes on people who didn't get voted out. So it's so how much of that is going to hurt their game? I think Cedric does talk about in this episode, I did write down Say's name once. I did try to vote her out, but then I flipped on Justin and I kept her. But there's always that. You burned me, you scorned me, I can't fully trust you. And I don't know, but on the other hand, Cedric has been super loyal to Say when he could have flipped on her a couple times, and he's chosen to keep that going here. He's like, she's a number for me to a point until I shake the tree and all of that. Okay, so we've talked about the everything going down here with this final vote, but let's maybe wind back to the beginning of the episode and everything that was sort of the at play here. In our previously on, they really focused on the fact that we shook up the tribes in the previous episode, so we have all these different dynamics, and there was the vote out of Thomas when he got voted out because Kyle played the idol. and so therefore Thomas got voted out with one vote, and so there's all the aftermath of that where you have Camilla and Kyle, who had also downplayed that their relationship coming off of the old Siva tribe, for the California girls, who have now been lost a third member. Like they had three people coming into this shake-up tribe, right? They had the majority, and they went through Kyle's bag. They tried to figure out he had an idol, but it was in his shoe. You gotta check the shoe, everybody.
You gotta check the shoe.
Well, and they also did it in front of. Well, we're talking so much about Siva. What's her name? On that same tribe.
Camilla,
thank you. Yeah, it just escaped me for a second there. They did it in front of her, right? So it's like, what are you trying? Like, you should have done it low key with the California girls or whatever the hell, But it wasn't handled right. And it was interesting because earlier on in the season, you thought that a tandem of Thomas and Bianca could be very lethal in this game, and effectively they're both gone.
Yeah. Like I thought Thomas and Bianca were both going deep, and here they go, right? But there's kind of like this cold tension left in the new Vula tribe. I guess it would be not Vula, is it? It's Bianca. It's Logi. I'm sorry, it's the purple tribe.
But okay. Yeah.
Where you have you have kind of Joe and Shaheen on one side. No. Where am I? Am I in the right? I can't keep track of who's where.
The whole opening was green.
Oh, it's green. It's the green tribe. I'm sorry. Okay, Kyle and Camilla on one side, Shaheen and Joe on the other.
I like the talking head with Shaheen where he's like, we had 3 people. We had an extremely strong. Like this never happens. The 3 of us could have gone so far, and then somebody caught a stray, and here we are.
Yeah, here's a good moment here with Shaheen where he's just like, they're talking to Kyle and Camilla, and he's just like, no. Yeah. Always when you get these black and white nighttime shots, it's a little thing. But the name of the episode, the Master Class in Deception, comes from this cold open scene where we're coming off of the previous tribal, and that Camilla and Kyle are quite pleased with how everything played out here, and I think they should be. But there's also
they never have to reveal that they had sort of orchestrated it, because after the reward challenge, they get all back together and they realize, oh, we can just stick together because we all have these pasts that are similar. We're all sort of come from a similar place,
Yeah, that's absolutely. They have this new alliance, like, my old enemies now can be my friends. No one will see this coming, and we can play the middle and sort of work together. And we'll see if that ends up being a thing.
They're all like they're all they kind of come together about their parents' shared backstories, being people of color. And then I made a joke to my wife that was like, it'd be really unfortunate if there was a white person on that group. An affluent white person who's like, yeah, well, my parents didn't get into the country club, and I was like, that would be horrible.
Yeah, my mother went to university, and my dad went to community college. And that was, so there was dynamics was between the two families because you know what I mean. Yeah,
and they're all just looking at him like.
My father was orange, and my mother was green. It was terrible,
Well, have you ever seen the? I don't know if you guys ever seen Bo Burnham before.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Have you seen him, Jason? No.
Bo Burnham?
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. So have you ever seen his song "Straight White Male"?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So basically, it's a parody song. He does a lot of like comedic songs, right? And basically, the whole premise of it is like, it's tough being a straight white male. And like, and it's
so hard.
And like so it's just all like really dumb things, right? Like, they didn't have khakis in my size at the store, or like, that someone bought me a phone case, but it was the wrong size, and like, or it was too big or something like that, right? And
right.
It's just on your point, Jason. It's just like it's interesting because they've definitely like they've got to hit all these diversity check boxes, it seems, right? And I feel like the more recent one they've they really implemented the last few seasons that I've seen at least is disabilities, right? But
I think Survivor, since coming back from I know this is a sensitive topic, but coming back from pandemic and even during pandemic, the new generation, this is the producer's fault. I feel like this is CBS's fault. Everybody has like a backstory that is like that pulls on your heartstrings a little bit, and I think that's by design. I think they rely on it a little bit too heavily sometimes. It's been a thing. I think that this season it hasn't been that big a deal besides a few people, but I do agree that it's CBS, and Jeff is a little weird about it too, because he's a boomer. He's an older guy now too, so he always hyper focuses on things. So
well, I feel like Jeff Mader, your brother Dave, said it best in the past, where it was like, I can't remember, like this was like a few seasons ago, I feel like, but it's like, why is everyone best friends? Why is everyone?
Yeah.
It's not like it's not that it's a bad thing. It's just when you've grown up and you've seen the cutthroat, like blindsiding, and it's more so like in revenge or despicableness, or you know what I mean? Like it's not that
how
way
does
anymore.
Russell Hantz exist in this?
No, he doesn't. Like
he wouldn't. He wouldn't. He would be
canceled. He'd be canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think the other players wouldn't put up with it, right? So, it's kind of like in basketball, Jeff gets, this drives me nuts more in basketball, where everyone they take the free throw or whatever, and then they say good job, they miss it, and they go, good job, man, good job, and I'm like, what's a good job here? They missed it. It's not a good job. He gets no high five.
It's the participation trophy era or whatever, right? Like it's like pat on the back because you did it. You tried.
Is Big Brother like this too now? Because whenever I see Big Brother, they're all trying to kill each other.
Big Brother, I find you do see, there have been seasons where they do not like each other. Certain people in the cast, and there's I'd say less so in Big Brother, where it does get a little bit more. I guess cutthroat, but not to satisfy my brother Jeff, and what he wants. He wants more. Like if you go back to the early seasons of Big Brother, like there was this guy Dr. Will, and he'd be like in the diary room laughing at the other contestants as he's fooling them. There's not quite that anymore. So I think but I think that's also a product of the social media age, as well as it being like the new generation who have maybe a different disposition. It's I don't want to be hated for the rest of my life. I don't want to be it's harder to want to be a villain, but back in 20 years ago, 25 years ago, this is my 15 minutes. What if I play the villain? Everyone's going to forget about this pretty soon.
I never considered that, because I think we perceive the rise of social media to be a lot longer, go a lot further back, but I think it's more within the last 10 years that people are hyper focused on their social media footprint, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I'd say so.
It's funny. Have you ever seen? I don't know. It's so this is both in show and in TV, but I don't know if you've seen there's. I was reading some notes. I can't remember which actor or whatever it was, but they were talking about how, and this is real life. They were they didn't want to hire somebody as an actor because they didn't have a lot of followers on Instagram. You know what I mean? They didn't have a great social media presence. And I can't remember which, it was a certain actor or actress. It was recently, I saw this, they were talking about it, how they weren't, part of the reason they weren't chosen seriously or taken seriously was because of that. They weren't bringing that to the table. And coincidentally, I don't know if you guys ever seen The Boys.
The Boys? Yeah. I was on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True, Dave.
I'm in the universe.
That's the big thing with The Boys, right? It's all about they want you to have that social media presence, right? That's what they I just finished watching Gen V, right? I finally caught up on that, and that's it's all what I mean. That's what they all talk about, right? Your top
whole
top
show
have
is about the social media.
Yeah, they have all these followers and who likes who, and no, it's what generates, essentially clicks and comments, right? And I feel like what you said, Jason, and Dave as well, is that they're afraid of the amount of negative clicks they would get. Like it's not like someone goes on like they used to and like shares a blog, or even podcasts weren't as popular back then, or even like reaction videos or whatever, right? So the amount of negativity and animosity can be spread a lot quicker and more in droves.
And you feel, I think you feel it a lot, like when all the haters come at you.
Yeah, it's not like
in addition to the already baseline hate that everybody gets.
Right, like if you go back to like season 1, which is almost before the internet, not quite really, but like, the internet existed, but it was very early stages of it. And I think those early contestants, like the Rudys and the Richards and these type of people, sure they would be recognized maybe walking down the street or in a mall or something like that, but no one's like, I guess they maybe get some fan mail, I don't know, but like I'm sure it was just dribs and drabs, and maybe you're getting more positive feedback because when people are online, it's also, I feel like it feels a lot meaner sometimes.
Well, even like they literally had a season of Survivor called Heroes versus Villains.
Yeah,
like that. What I mean?
True.
Like they would never be able to do that. It would be like all heroes with one.
Yeah,
I mean?
don't. How about heroes versus anti-heroes? Maybe we could go with that.
How about heroes versus heroes? Heroes only.
Heroes versus bigger heroes.
Yeah.
But let's get into the reward challenge. Foster, what did you think of this one? Where they had to throw the bags and.
I mean, like it's like I don't know. Like it's interesting because I've said this a few times this season. Is that like I've noticed there are newer variations of the challenge. Like there's not always like I didn't. Like that part's the same. Like I've seen that before with the challenge or with
the balls, where you get the balls in the hoops. And whatever.
But like the beginning part where they're throwing, the spin the thing to like release it. Like I've never seen that before. Like that aspect of it. So like I feel like they're actually trying new elements, and I've said this so many in past seasons. Like I was getting really sick and tired of the cookie cutter. Like you're basically just repainting and reloading to the next. So at least they're trying different things, and we'll get to the next the immunity challenge in a bit, which. Like once again, they're not going to always be brand new. It's not possible. But like but I feel like with some of these challenges, like the reward challenge, and it was more so in the immunity, but it was like making everyone have to be a part of it. Like everyone has to be involved in some way.
I keep saying that Jeff needs to bring out the pool cue from The Dark Knight and break it in half.
Just throw it in there.
Yeah.
Tryouts.
Yeah.
Well, that's how they pick who's going to sit on the bench for each match, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, a couple things to note here with this reward challenge. She was Say is the one who sits out for Siva, and Jeff says, "Why you?" She's like, "Well, I've been in every challenge so far, and I deserve a break." Turns out Chrissy's also not had her chance to sit either. And so she was.
I just thought it was a really cool idea, actually, in terms of because how like they choose who sits it, right? And just speaking to what you said, Jason, about more of a villain type of scenario where they're like forced to like I've never in this. It's like I've seen it a little bit in the challenge where you finish this previous challenge a certain way, and it will affect in some way the next challenge. So like it'd be cool if like like let's just say like if they do reward challenge because it's much different than immunity challenge in terms of what's on the line. But let's just say they had back-to-back reward challenges, right? And the winner of the last one got to choose who sat out, right? Or every team got to like you got to choose the try beside you person go out kind of thing, and you know what I mean. So everyone gets a chance kind of thing, right? But then it just forces them to play like once again like. Because once again, when you're sitting out, even if it's back to back, unless like you're up by so many against the other tribes in terms of numbers, like you're always going to sit the bottom two people, like just alternatively, right? Yeah. It doesn't necessarily like make you have a disadvantage.
I think saying that she needed a break, it's the wildest thing I've ever heard on Survivor. Just not that she's wrong. Everybody needs a break, but to say it out loud, and then be a sore winner.
But then she wants to play, but then she's like, I want to do the immunity though, yeah. Right? Like that she made a point to say, I'm good. I'm ready to do the immunity. Like after that, I'm like, well, like it's not you don't know what it's going to be, right? So it's not exactly this shrug. It's like it's just the opinion. In this day and age, it's not about like the bullying instead, like because that's what it was before. Like where it kind of was like kind of you're separated if you were like a hero or villain. Now it's like if you're just really opinionated and you're not flexible with your tribe, that's what kind of isolates you or casts you on the side of that other side, if you will, right? Not necessarily a hero or villain. I guess opinionated and what's the other word? You know what I mean? Like it's like I said, a flex. You know what I mean? Like when you're team tribe or individual kind of thing mentality, right?
Right. Well, and Say's with new people, right? Because her original tribe got decimated. They lost 3 people, So now she's with Chrissy and Bianca and Mitch, as well as Cedric from her original tribe. And you think she'd be trying to curry their favor, right? Trying to win them over because these are going to be people you're going to want to have on your side when you get into the merge, which is imminent, right? And here, I think in this episode, not just in this moment where she chooses to sit out, but I think she just alienates them mostly. Now Bianca's gone, so I guess it doesn't matter. But in her case, but I don't think that Chrissy and Mitch are going to go into the merge here saying we love Bianca. They're definitely going to say we love Cedric. I think after this episode. And he gave that intel to Chrissy, and they were able to change what they were going to do here. But I don't know. The other moment here in this reward challenge that stuck out to me was with Cedric trying to do the part where you had to bounce the ball off of the trampoline and the epic fail. I had to even pull it as a clip.
It completely. Nice.
Yeah, here I got the clip.
Calls it out.
Cedric would like to get Siva on the board.
Grab in.
That was an abysmal failure. Thanks, Jeff.
That was an abysmal failure.
You see Charity holding herself. I don't know if you noticed that. She's like about to die of laughter, but she's like just holding it in.
Yeah. Because was Charity the other person sitting out? Yeah, right?
Yeah, it was
she was.
Star? Or was that the immunity? No, Star was out for the immunity.
No, it was Charity. It was Charity and Say.
Oh, sorry, Charity and the same
and they were the two throwing barbs back and forth at the end, which was wild to me. Charity was like the sore winner, and Say was the sore loser at the end of the challenge.
Right. So it comes down. So the Green Tribe, with Joe and Kyle and all them coming off of the Thomas vote, they're the ones who come in first.
No, not the reward. No, not the reward. It was,
they didn't come. Who came first?
Liga came in, or Liga, or whatever.
Purple.
Purple came first. Yes.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Purple. Then green, and then orange.
Sanctuary. Yeah.
Or yeah. So where good things happen, where there will be croissants and donuts and whatever else, So then there's
Mary makes a big I can't remember what she said exactly, but she was just she basically was just what was she wasn't cool and calm and cool collective about it. She was kind of just a little too excited.
She was pretty excited. She hadn't won, I guess, a reward, or she at least had won an immunity, I think, right?
She won an immunity, but she hasn't won a reward, and she's one of the people that's gone to tribal 3 times.
Mm-hmm. So there's this whole thing here where they're celebrating and she's happy, but Say does not like it. Say's saying, I wanted that croissant, I wanted a donut, and now I don't get one. So that's, I think if you win, you should be a little more low key about it. I don't think this sits well with anybody, including maybe the members of her own group. But does it get her voted out? Not really. No, it doesn't happen here. I think just everyone else is like, huh?
Yeah.
So interesting reaction here. Now they call her the sore winner. Coming off of after that, we then go to the beach where, Siva is, and they're all kind of lamenting about it. And there's a lot of this talk here in the confessionals about the fruit, the fact that Chrissy are not getting along here very much. That Say sat out of the challenge. She didn't even burn any calories, guys. And what does she do? She goes right for that fruit. She deserves a break.
Then Chrissy goes, "Oh, so you're eating that kiwi, and you got one apple left, right?" And then cut to Say being like, "Oh, and now she's counting my fruit. I'm losing it."
She's counting my kiwis, everybody. This is not right. But I think that's like this idea of like, say if I had to like work with her or be around her, I think she would probably get on my nerves, especially when you're hungry or there's not a lot to go around here. So I think that these like little things are adding up. We know that tension ultimately doesn't get released here, but it seems like Bianca's in a great spot. She's got everybody on her side. Mitch likes her, Chrissy likes her, Cedric and Say both like her. No one dislikes, Bianca. And what happens? She gets voted out anyway in this episode. But that's why this was such a kind of a shock, right? In terms of how this result ended up here. Then we go and have a segment here with the Vula tribe, the Green tribe, where they're getting their croissants. They thought it was supposed to be a smaller thing. They didn't get to go to the sanctuary, which is basically just a kind of nicer place to sit. I guess you get more beverages, you get milk and things like that. We'll talk about that in a second. But this is, I think, is this where they have like their whole bond about where their parents came from? Yeah, right. Joe talks about. He's biracial. His father is black, his mother white. Growing up from Virginia, like them on their date, taking a picture in front of
living in full segregation in like the 1950s, which is
right.
Makes sense, but it's wild to consider.
Yeah, Joe's 45, so he's a bit older than me. So yeah, like we're talking, talk about the Jim Crow days. Then Camilla is also talking about her story with her father coming from Sri Lanka.
She's Sri Lankan, and they've been locked in civil war for like 100 years. It only ended in the 2000s, but it was basically like the equivalency of religion, because you couldn't tell who was on either side because they all are the same race basically. And what it comes down to is there were like stops on the road everywhere, so he was constantly persecuted by his own people just because they didn't know.
They're like, who are you? Which team are you? Yeah. What? I don't know a lot about it. Like, it's a religious war, the Sri Lankan war?
No, it was kind of a North versus South thing, like Korea. As far as I know, it was a civil war that I worked with Sri Lankan people when I was a cook, and the way they understand it is it was just like 100-year war over basically who has the right, kind of like India and Pakistan as well, like basically who has the right to this land,
right? And who's running things, which tribe is running things. Okay. And then it was Shaheen talking about his father being from
Iran, I think.
Iran, yeah. Right? Yeah.
Let's see if I
get a better shot of Shaheen here.
Was it
the Iraq war, and his dad was a pilot for the Iraq.
He got shot down at the Iraq border, and then which doesn't. Yeah, we're talking like the late 70s here. This is the same time that the Iranian Revolution happened, where they went from under the rule of the Shah to becoming a theocracy.
Well, he mentioned, it was interesting because he mentioned about like, he was captured and with Iraq, but then he kind of held his tongue, because it sounded like he was like, it almost sounded like he was alluding to him being like tortured, or what I mean, like something really bad happened, like a lot happened to him when he was there, right, captive.
Right. And so after they share a box of croissants and donuts, and they talk about their histories, and by the end of this, there's a shot of his dad in the Air Force there, the Iranian Air Force.
Maybe Kyle didn't chime in because he's the one with the affluent parents. I don't know. He didn't have like that kind of a story or that kind of part of his thing. He's very young, I think. Kyle is 30. Actually, he's not as young as I thought he was. But by the end of this, they're all kind of together and they've kind of bonded. Instead of being like this 2 versus 2, they say, here we need each other. We can be a force going into the merge. And I'm really curious to see if that ends up being the case, because Shaheen and Joe, they're not like crying over, well, we lost Thomas. He was the 3rd California girl. What are we gonna do now? They're adapting and they're trying to find a way forward, right? Even though, and maybe especially now that
they're going to find out that they lost Bianca soon. Like, so, and like obviously Joe's going to have his connection with Eva, but like that's already built in. And now Star and Eva are getting along, so we can talk about that in a second too. But I don't know. There's some interesting dynamics going into this merge. The sanctuary session.
I haven't been this excited for a merge in a while.
The only thing I was noticing about the sanctuary was that nobody, and I know that Star has something with her already, but I was surprised that no one looked or found a clue of some sort, because usually, regardless, they have something there. Maybe there was something and no one really.
They were into the milk, Foster.
I know,
especially David.
The sugar comatose, if you will, right?
He normally likes his chocolate milk. He'll settle for whole milk. And, so I need a glass of milk. He just pounded this stuff. Can't go here. Now, in this section of the episode, we also find out that Eva is not a huge fan of Charity. Calls her fake and a phony, even though Eva admits like I'm not very good at picking up people's social cues and understanding this kind of stuff.
She reiterates that she's bad at social cues here.
Charity's like crying. It's like that's so like over. Like what are you upset about?
She's just so happy she has a donut. Yeah. So
for doing nothing.
There is some chocolate milk here, isn't there?
Yeah, those are all for him.
Those are all for him.
Cafe mocha, chocolate milk. I'd be in heaven. In movies and TV, a lot of times people drinking milk is like a villain trait, but I understand the love of a glass of milk once in a while. Mm-hmm. I definitely get chocolate milk. And we were talking about it a bit last week, Dave. You can use milk to hit your macros. I think he got jacked from drinking milk. That's my personal theory.
Well, he would agree with you, and the results seem to speak for that as well. As David is, pretty in shape guy.
He is swole, dude, and he's getting cut from not eating. He seems
right.
More jacked every episode.
Yeah, this is the part of the season where, everyone starts to look a little better in their bathing suits or whatever. But then they give them these feasts and then they go into food comas and whatever.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you guys, like, if you hadn't eaten properly in 10 days and you were served a whole bunch of croissants and donuts, I guess it looked like they had like some sandwiches, like some ham and cheese on some of them. But if you're just slamming donuts and milk, I feel like that would you'd be heading to the latrine quite a bit.
Yeah, consider I'd be concerned about the lack of toilet paper on the island. Yeah. I'm not sure. I guess they use leaves, right, and all that. But I think that the milk could give you diarrhea.
It way too much. I'd be eating like that. That's one of the meals that like I'm not a big I don't really eat fruit or vegetables, right? Or some vegetables, but mostly like I don't eat fruit, right? It's just citric acid thing. But anyways, the that kind of meal though is like that would be peak for me.
Yeah, me like too. I would dummy one of the best.
Like, I would go too hard. I would not be able to come back from that.
Mary's plate looked like what my plate would look like. She was taking small bites, but it showed her plate, and she had like 4 croissants on it. And I'm like, yeah, I would eat a basket of croissants and regret it for the rest of the week.
Oh yeah, it would sit so heavy.
Yeah.
What I'm always like just amazed by, like, I'm so hungry. All I'm eating is rice and I'm like, go catch some fish if with this fishing gear you're so excited to get in the second episode that you seemingly never use, or are bad.
Nobody knows how to use the thing.
But no one.
The Hawaiian sling.
Yeah. Like that one guy went down, he was all excited. He goes down and loses it immediately a few seasons ago on his first try.
It'd be one of the things you think you'd practice, leading up to you going out there. Just get one of those. We get used to be in the water with it, but I don't know. Let's talk about the immunity challenge and how that went here. Where it was like they had to drag a boat through the water here, then a chest across the beach. Then they had to undo some ropes, and they had to get a key and open another thing, and then do this. Then they had to go under this thing. They had to get under the log.
A lot of teamwork. I liked at the end here where everyone had to make it. Again, like that's where I was saying earlier, like, and I kind of alluded to it, like this one more so than the reward, but it was like everyone's got to put up or shut up. You know what I mean? Like it's it's not like you're the weakest link. It's just like everyone has to contribute. You're forced to everyone contributing, right? Instead of relying on one. Like I've seen Mitch how many times do like the shots this whole season, like they're asking because he's just got a good feel for it and stuff, right?
He's great, yeah.
And so it's just or David's the other one, right? Like you see him do it a lot, right? And or even Ava too, I guess, right? If you're Joe as well, but there's like, you know what I mean. So this one, I like that idea of everyone has to do it, right?
Everyone had to sink one of those balls.
Yeah, like you can't just like rely on one person and just rock all of them, right? Because we saw that a lot with last season, and what was his name? He was winning a lot of those single immunities. Kyle last season when they were doing the tribe stuff, like he would just carry the tribe because he was doing all of the specific little challenges within the challenge, right? But this one, like, and again, like there was a lot of elements that were the same, like going under the log. That's we've seen that before, carrying a chest, like there. But then, like, I haven't seen exactly that kind of. I don't know exactly what you call it. It's on a puzzle board. It's, I guess, like a. I don't know what the right word to use. That kind of.
It's almost like a little pinball machine. Or,
like I don't know what the right term is for something like that, but it
like,
wasn't
almost like Plinko.
Almost like Plinko.
But it wasn't like it was. We've seen more difficult ones than that in Survivor, but it was like just zigzagging with bumps. Very basic and standard.
I don't recall them doing the like everybody has to sink one thing.
Oh, that's why I really liked it, regardless of like it doesn't matter to me at that point like who loses, because at the end of the day, like everyone has to participate. Right? Unless two of the tribes just blow the other one out of the water and someone doesn't get a turn, right? But no, everyone had a chance, and it like at the end, like it came down to Say and people were swapping out too, right? Before I get into that, like
you could swap out, but you eventually had to get one, right? So you could let
yourself, right? You weren't like forced to like finish off your round.
Right.
Right.
I thought what was interesting too is like the first part was so physical, right? Where you had to drag this boat and chest across the water, which definitely I think favored the green team because they got Joe and they got Kyle and Shaheen and
they look tired too.
Right. Yeah. Whereas I think this is harder on the Loggy tribe because David's kind of like their big workhorse, but then when they get to the you can see there Joe's basically dragging that thing almost by himself. But when they get to the part where they had to go under the log here, I think that this part suited more people who are slender builds. Yeah. You have to get like under here. So so Eva goes under for Loggy here, and she's like, my thighs are too fat or whatever.
All those hockey reps.
But in the case of the Green Tribe, they try to put Kyle through first instead of. I thought they should put Camilla through here first, and I think that this actually kind of slowed them down a little bit. So I think
this whole portion, whenever they have to go under the log, it always makes me. My wife absolutely hates it, and it makes me feel really like claustrophobic or something.
Yeah, Kyle was stuck, and I was kind of like, I would be a little bit kind of panicking a little bit if I was stuck, right? Because it's like. Like obviously you're not gonna like it's sand, like it's not like, but it's just that sense of like you're trapped, almost, right?
Right.
And like, and then you just get overwhelmed.
I thought at one point Kyle was gonna get stuck here, and they were gonna be totally screwed, but they eventually are able to get him through it. But I don't know if they were like they had the most strategic decision on have some, I guess, plan it through, like who's gonna do that, like who's gonna try to crawl through this part. Now, I'm kind of skipping to the end here, but because Green, they managed to sink all four of their balls pretty fast. But then I think Eva, it comes down to Eva and her moments here where she keeps trying over and over again to get this. And she's having what she will call an episode, where I guess and we see Joe very supportive. Calls her sis, calls her baby. He's very much in her supporting her right? And I think the people who were previously on the Logie tribe with them already kind of knew this. I don't think that this was a shocker for Bianca.
Yeah, not many people seem to actually. I didn't interpret that only really her former teammates knew that she's autistic. But I imagine this whole competition was a lot, going through the water, then having to go under a log, and then being put on the spot like this.
Mhm.
I see why she had the episode at the end, and everybody who doesn't know is freaking out. They're like, "What is happening?" And then finally, for the first time ever, they want to keep these teams separate, but Joe goes over and gives her a hug. In the first episode, they sort of formed a bond where if she was having issues, they came up with, like, he holds her hands and just tells her to breathe and gives her a hug. And it basically, he went over and did that and calmed her down. And then she had to basically explain that she is, through her autism, she's very prone to having these, like, this whole experience for her is a lot, and her life in general is a lot. She explains that, like, her parents were told when she was a kid she'd never lead a normal life, but she's fought against the odds. Listen, this is the first time that I've been watching Survivor that I got misty, and it affected me a lot. And I think that Survivor will grandstand with the backstory stuff a lot, but I think that this is a moment that was genuine and it was good. And I think it is important in today's day and age where a lot of mental health issues aren't addressed properly, or they weren't in the past, and now they're being addressed more properly now. This was a big moment for a lot of young people who watch Survivor and feel alienated because of autism, because it is a spectrum and a lot of people live with it and struggle with it. And I think that this was a great moment to show you that you're not different. You just have something that certain things in your life are going to be affected by, but you can still have a normal life if you fight.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to all of this. Like, my son has autism, and I think many members of my family, quite frankly, do, whether they're diagnosed or not. And it seems to run in our family on my dad's side. So it was definitely strong for me as well. This whole thing with Joe, because normally they would never be allowed to cross the threshold, and Jeff's like, I made the call here, I'm allowing this. She didn't need a hug just from someone on her current team. She needed him. I can't remember. Does he have a daughter who's has autism as well?
I don't know about. I think it's just the fact that he has kids. Right, and that's why Jeff was able to relate to it as well, because it was a moment, like you said, Jason, where it was so genuine and pure that anyone could relate to the sense of someone whether mostly it was, from a parent perspective, right? But in that moment, but it was the fact that if somebody knows what exactly you're going through, and can be there for you, that's what's most important to help you through it. Like, it was, because like you said, Dave, like, everyone's like, no one knows what's going on. Like, she had only told, I don't think she even told David. It was more so like, I like you, like, I want to hang out, like, I want to be like, like, working with you, right? She only really told Joe that she was, autistic. And I feel that with something like this, and even with when they were talking to Mitch earlier, right? Like, Jeff made a point to say, how would you like us to handle your stuttering, right? But obviously with Ava, she made it clear that it's her story to tell, and it's not like it's as obvious as Mitch's impediment, right? So when that kind of all unraveled, which, like, just like you, Jason, it was very emotional, right? I think for a lot of people, just from the genuine human aspect of it, it really unfolded, I think, quite beautifully in a sense, right? Like, obviously, it was very, upsetting to see Ava in such a difficult position, but for Joe to, like, just be able to calm her down after only knowing her for so long, because she was already, she knew that something like this could happen. And then for her to immediately address it with the entire group, was massive. I thought like it was extremely strong of her to do so, and the way that she handled it, because like some people may have just brushed it off and just been like, oh, I got too much anxiety, or you know what I mean. No, she like dove right in the pool.
She explained it so eloquently too.
Yeah.
She didn't, like you said just now, Foster, like she didn't brush it off. She didn't like speed through it. She let everybody know. And Jeff addressed it by saying like, Joe, you revealed this part of your game because the merge is coming. If you guys are on the team together, you're partners. Eva, you revealed this secret that you have that you've been keeping from a bunch of people. And then also, you two may end up blindsiding each other. And they both kind of laughed and acknowledged that. And I think I think we saw this season of Survivor, we've seen some real cool Survivor firsts with the shot in the dark with Mary and everything in the second episode. But this particular moment, I think, might be one of the coolest, most genuine emotional moments I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was even Jeff cried, guys.
Jeff cried.
He
Got
was
misty.
he like, and then he's like, I'm crying. This never happens to me.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the
And
moment.
I always make the joke that Jeff is the devil and he's trying to steal energy from all of them. And I'm saying to my wife, like, well, now Jeff's gonna have to come back with some sort of this is when I made the joke to my wife that he's gonna get the pool cue out next week because he needs to get that energy back.
Right. Well, yeah. Even before the end of the challenge, where so it comes down between Say and Eva, right, to get the last ball in there, and who's going to go to tribal, and it says like, I don't feel the pressure. I had to pull this clip here. This is peak Jeff.
Come on.
Say now, feeling the pressure for Siva.
No pressure. I don't feel any pressure.
You should.
You should.
You should.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't.
I also
Go ahead, Jason.
I was just gonna say, just really quick, I also noticed Jeff changed his tune a bit when he saw that Eva was struggling, because Jeff for the whole time is just mocking people and calling things out and basically verbally getting in their faces. And then when she was struggling, he like toned it right down and got supportive. So
yeah, he goes from an abysmal failure, Cedric. Yeah. You should feel the pressure. Say, oh, Eva, it seems
just
like you're dealing
take
with
a breath.
I feel like there's, because the way that, I don't know if you ever noticed, but there's obviously with the camera angles and stuff, like they all know what they're doing, right, in terms of the setup of the production, right? But I've always felt like, and I feel like this is for all shows, the way that they have the host set up, like he's facing this way, and so he's got a earpiece on the other side where you can't see it, right? So I feel like there's like, because Jeff's done this for so long that he's doing the same thing, like 99 times out of 100, and there's that one time out of 100, like it was tonight, where someone's in his ear going, remember Ava has this or whatever, or like, remember, what I mean? Like, I'm not saying like he forgot, I'm just saying like, like there are like those times like tonight where it's like, well, hey Jeff, like remember this is why this is kind of happening this way, right? I'm not saying that was the case, but like you said, Jason, you could tell there was a much different approach, because Jeff does like to call you out when you are not doing so well. I feel like he should do that more even. I think it's really funny when the host is like, you're failing, like you're just but obviously when it's when usually it's appropriate, right? That there was a time and a place for that, and like with Cedric or Say, those were great responses. But with Ava though, it was like, well, it's especially when it's continuously happening, right? So,
and with Eva or Ava, I can't remember. Ava. Okay.
Yeah.
With Ava, so after she has to calm down, everything else, and then this ends up being kind of a really great aftermath for her as she goes back to her beach with the Logie tribe, so she's feeling pretty good with how it all played out, and her story, and she really wins over Star in particular here, where Star is like, hey, I am on your side, and Ava and Star previously were not the even though they came from the original tribe together, they weren't thrilled to have each other. I think
They were a little
Eva-
bit like Say and Mary were in the beginning before they had to like put their differences aside for 9 minutes
right. You know, for 9 minutes before they got split up, right?
before they got put on new. Yeah.
So Star decides, hey, I'm going to tell you about this advantage I have, this scroll I found, which Eva already knows about, as did all the members of that tribe. But but Star, I guess, doesn't know that. So Star's like, hey, I have this thing. Let's work together. You know, we had this bonding moment here. Rallying around Eva. Let's go with that. You know, so she shares her trick. They go figure out like the clues with everything else, and they work with Eva in particular, who, by the way, is a PhD candidate, and so I'm not sure what she's taking her PhD in, but she's able to kind of go through the cryptex and figure out what needs to happen here and how to solve the puzzle. Eventually, figuring out that the word to open this thing up is silent.
Yeah, she destroys it. In fact, she destroys the puzzle. And I like that at one point, David is like, so I'm looking at the letters on the ground and I think he's going to say it. And then he goes, and I just hope that I'm the one that figures out what the letters are. And I was like, you musclehead. What a funny thing.
Yeah. Ultimately, Star decides to let Eva have it here. She's like, you have the idol. It's your idol here.
I don't understand. Like, I think, as someone who has Eva as her pick, like, I don't like that because everyone knows she has it. I'm almost hopeful that it's like she plays it in good faith to get get it off her back. Because everyone, it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, it's.
I think this was a brilliant move by Star.
Oh no,
actually.
for sure, yeah.
Because Star, of course, if it had been Say would have been like, no, that's my idol.
That's mine.
Right?
Give that to me.
Right, but Star is like, I don't know. She didn't know if everyone on her original tribe knew she had this scroll and had this clue, but she's like, I'm sharing this with my team. Eva's the one who solves it. She gets it. Now she has that target. She already does have this target with her and Joe being so close, and now she has this great story to talk about at the end. And so
you almost don't want a public idol over not having an idol at all. I guess it might be the play from her point of view.
Right. So Star, I think,
and also she gets this.
She was on cloud nine, right? She was just a high from the challenge, getting it out everyone, and then like it just I don't know. It just it's almost like that. Okay, whoa, slow yourself down. This is too much. Like I know it's great, but it's just a lot of too many. You can't have too many good things happen in Survivor. That doesn't work that way.
So Eva's going home with an idol in her pocket next week.
I hope not.
I have her too. I have her
I don't
too for
think
mine.
that would happen. But I don't think I feel like she needs to just flush it, like let it go herself almost, right? I think if she connects and because everyone knows is going to know about it, someone like Joe's going to be like, we need to get rid of it somehow, right? I don't know if she'll be able to make that distinction that she shouldn't be having it anymore.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And so
I think Joe beating Eva at Survivor is kind of like when your parents demolish you at Mario Kart or Monopoly, and they don't. My parents never gave a shit. I'm sure, Dave, you play with your son.
If I played ping pong against my dad and he would, whatever. I know what you mean. Where it's like, well, you gotta get better, kid. You want to be me one day. Figure it out. Yeah. So I think a lot of great stuff in this episode. I think we talked mostly about about the Bianca vote out and everything to go there. I don't know if there's anything else to say about that we didn't cover in the front end of this podcast. I'm sad to see Bianca having left here, but I get why it played out the way it did. I think, I'm curious to see what Chrissy does from here, because I think this was kind of a significant move, and it's something she might be able to talk about further on into the merge.
I just want to mention that Chrissy, she's playing a traditional old person game where it seems like she's doing nothing, but will inevitably end up being like the mother character after the merge or something and make it far. She also she had a hilarious whiff in the bouncing the thing off the net as well that Jeff didn't pick up on, but I did. She definitely also whiffed it in a hilarious way. I don't care for her. I don't have her on my tribe, and these boomer character. I know she's much younger than the average oldest person playing, but they never really do it for me. So
Like
Yeah.
Sue was very effective last season. I felt, like even though she didn't do well in the final, like
she was only 45 though. So
Oh, is that not what's the cutoff? 50 then?
Yeah.
no,
Chrissy's actually a Gen Xer.
okay. I'm saying that Sue's 45 because she said she was, and everybody's like, "Oh, you look good for your age." Remember?
Yeah, I
was Sue,
remember.
right?
Oh, I'm going to tell everyone I'm 45. She looks like she's 60, but whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas Chrissy is 55, I guess at the time they shot this. So she's a little younger than Jeff. Jeff's right out the kind of that edge. He's a boomer, but he's just, just before the cutoff. But you're right. Chrissy is definitely playing that good. Chrissy went last in our draft, I think largely just because she's 55. And when was the last time somebody that old won? Probably Gabler, right? And
Gabler,
he felt like he was kind of he wasn't the obvious one to win that season, right? He did win it, but he turned it around a tribal.
He was like the least hated choice. It felt like almost at the end,
right? He was sort of like the lesser of the two evils, or whatever you want.
And then he also made the claim that he was going to donate it all, right? So,
and then he said, "I'm giving it all to charity because I'm already a doctor and I'm already got a good life and all this whatever." So, but yeah, like Chrissy winning this game, like I'm not saying she won't, but she's got to do more than what she's done so far. So maybe this is the start of something. So we know that this merge is coming. Let's have a look at the preview for the next episode and see if we have any final thoughts there.
The game is about to change. Drop your buzz.
Next time on Survivor.
13 people is insanity.
I want to work with you. We're getting all the strong people together.
She will gaslight you. We'll get fight to the death.
It's gonna be absolute chaos.
I don't know how you managed to. I didn't see that because like I said, I got up and had some stuff to do before bed, before the podcast also, and I didn't know that it's drop your buffs time. You kind of alluded to it, but you somehow picked up on something I said and didn't be like, no, actually. So I got to live react to that right now, and I'm pretty happy.
I'm a little surprised they're doing it this coming episode for 6 instead of episode 7, because we are going to 14 episodes in this season. So
no, it's 13.
Is it 13?
Yeah, I've looked like it is 13 this season.
But 13 people, like, what? And I'm sure they'll do this thing where, okay, it's 13 people merge, but like we're going to divide you into 2 teams, and then there will be one person who will not participate in the challenge, and then they'll be
maybe
safe.
double elimination next week.
Or they tend to do that like the 1 or 2 after that, where it's a double like elimination.
Nobody's been medvac. We gotta.
But they'll say like, it's drop your buffs, but you're not technically a part of the merge, and they might not start the jury until you get down to 11 or something like that. But they're merging. They shook them up for 2 episodes with these different teams. Loggy got the hurt the most by that, where Bianca and Thomas went, and now, as I've been talking about, you got Siva, all 6 of them coming into this. We'll see how much they stick together or not. However, if you think about it, if Loggy and Vula were to get together, that's 7, right? They could have a majority. There was also sort of this talk in the preview for the episode that the strong people are getting together. What exactly does that mean? Who are is David going to be breaking with his Siva team, to ally with someone like Joe? Or
I don't think Siva's very strong. I don't think Siva's the same as the Green Tribe last season, where they were really tight going into the merge as 5. Siva does not seem like.
They don't seem as tight. It seems like Chrissy and Mitch, for instance, seem tight. I don't really know who Charity's number 1 is.
I think it's Mitch.
Is it Mitch? Okay, but
they were talking together earlier in the season about working together, but like David's not with them.
Camilla and Kyle are a duo.
Yeah.
But now they have this new alliance potentially with Joe and Shaheen, right? So it feels like, even though it's all 6 of these Siva coming in, it doesn't feel like they are going to stay at 6.
You could do it those 4 plus David in Ava. But that's 6. That's not 7. So,
You just think like, hey, all 6 of us have made the merge. Everybody, like, we got a strong voting block here. It's not the true majority, but like, why wouldn't we work together here? But
I'm entering this more from an entertainment perspective. Say and Mary back on a team together, and I want to see what happens with Joe and Eva.
yes,
Like the smaller things that have been like being lined up till now. I can't really chess game it the same way that some people can with Survivor. But I'm definitely excited.
Don't forget, Jason. Actually, there's a new combatant has entered the ring. It's actually Say versus Mary versus Chrissy now.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because Say just burns every bridge with every person she talks to.
But you think Mary and Chrissy won't get along?
No. I'm just saying, like, there's just Say just brings everyone, and then Cedric's kind of on the sideline being like, oh, I'm gonna vote with Say until the last minute.
And then also Say said to Cedric, "Did you know about this?" And he shook his head yes. So we're gonna follow it from that as well, I think, because they're allies to a degree.
Yeah,
even though Say thinks he's a moron.
Well, and we already saw that, like, in the preview, that Mary is saying she will gaslight you. She has to be talking about Say, right?
Yeah.
And because like Cedric, Say, and Mary, like, are they going to be working together in this post merge? Like, I think maybe Say and Cedric will potentially, but Mary feels like more of a free agent, and that she could go off. She played that shot in the dark. She's like she shouldn't feel any loyalty, certainly to Say, and like maybe a little bit to Cedric for saving her. But no, she didn't. He didn't save her. Mary saved herself. So Mary doesn't owe them anything. I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens there. But anyway, lots of the season's been fun. Lots to look forward to next week. Hopefully, we'll have the Robinsons with us back for that one. Any final thoughts before we close off tonight, guys?
No,
I don't really have anything. My final thought for this episode is just that I haven't really been this excited week to week, in a while. Last season was pretty good, but this is exceeding expectations.
Yeah,
must see. It's a must see Survivor.
Must see Survivor. Foster, did you know that Camilla lives in Foster City, California?
got good taste.
Yes. Just that way.
My brother's having a kid, and I told him, I'm like, just name the kid Foster. Don't even
Foster.
Foster.
No, just Foster, like the male version of Zendaya or
like
Beyonce.
Cher?
So you set him up for success. No one
Foster.
received that. No one received that well. I wasn't. There was no support for my vote for the kid.
No, you could have said, just name him Josh. Name him after me.
No, actually, I didn't even say that. It just was like, I was just making up the funniest names or whatever, right? Like I was saying, like Dijon, or like just like something, what I mean? Like something really random that wouldn't like fit, like, or Foster, or like, what was the other one? Anyways, it's just like, yeah. So I just was
congrats to Luke and his wife. I didn't really know they were having a baby. So
yeah. So in a few weeks, yeah. So it's just completely out, because yeah. But anyways, something that wasn't gonna fit necessarily, right? So.
Right. Anything happening on Hey, did you see this one tomorrow, Jason?
Listen, I know I say listen a lot. I'm realizing I said it too many times, but look, damn it. Okay, let me focus up here. I've been having a long month. It is the final episode of the spring grimoire of familiar killers. We're closing the book until October with the second to last Halloween movie. We're talking H2O. H2O, you may remember from when you were a kid, cowering under the blankets and hoping that Michael Myers would never come back. Well, he's back, and it's a pretty good movie. So it's going to be a good.
Josh Hartnett, is that the one? Is that the one?
Josh Hartnett's in it. Michelle Williams. Jamie Lee Curtis is back. It's been 20 years. Everybody's kind of relaxed. Laurie Strode has PTSD, but she's letting her guard down, and bam, it's Halloween again, and it's been 20 years.
Elbows up, Mike Myers.
Elbows up, Mike. And I'm excited about our guest. It's a Hey, Did You See This One alumni, but also a good friend of mine, Ben Mason from the BS Bargain Bin podcast, another movie podcast talking about movies you may not have seen. We started our podcast at pretty much exactly the same time, and it seems like we may have jacked each other's ideas, but completely mutually exclusive. So check that podcast out as well if you remember to. But yeah, we're going out strong, and then into next month. It's my birthday month, where the theme of the month is no themes, just friends. And I've picked 4 movies just off the top of my dome. And each episode has like my closer friends on, people who haven't necessarily podcasted before, to try them out on the show and stuff. So that'll be a good one. And at the end of the month, I'm going to round it out with 3 guests. That's right. 3 guests on one episode. It's going to be pandemonium for my 40th birthday.
Oh, well, happy birthday coming. We're
going to be talking a lot before we get to that point, because I plan on coming back next week, I think.
Okay, well, absolutely. We'll be having a few more episodes before then, but yeah, very exciting. And I'm on Sunday. I'm on a Trivial Debates this Sunday, reboot edition, reboot the white TV cartoon. From the 90s.
My co-host Steve is on that too. Steve from Hey, Did You See This One will be on that as well.
Yeah, okay, we're both on that. Great.
Yeah.
Also on the Star Trek channel, Live Long and Podcast, on Saturday, I'm going to be interviewing Sean Farrick from TrekCulture.com, WhatCulture.com. We formally met on the Star Trek cruise, but we had done a couple podcasts, so I'm excited to sit down with him. He's in Ireland, so it will be a morning podcast, as there's a couple hours time difference. Anyway, thanks for being with us. Join us next week for episode 6. Do we know the name of that episode yet? I feel like I need to look it up now, just quickly. It's called Doing the Damn Thing.
It's called Pool Cue.
It's called Pool Cue Tryouts. Here we go.
Just keep manifesting it, Jason. It'll happen.
Yeah, I'm hoping for it.
And with all that said, everybody, thanks for being with us. Thanks to Jason. Thanks to Foster. Regrets from the Robinsons and my brother Jeff. And we will be back next time. And with that, we'll leave you with this. Your
Thank
moment.
you.
Take care, everyone. Good night.
For an afternoon of pastries.
Oh my God. I can taste it.
Donuts.
Wait, donuts?
You want something a little more savory? Ham and cheese croissants.
I need a croissant.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. Tune in to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show. Artistic interviews with graphic histories. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, Did You See This One? And movie reviews with Hold Up, a movie podcast. And while you're at it, spin a few records with Eamon on Track. Watch us duke it out on Trivial Debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.